Who else remembers Josh Rosen? In high school and college, this dude was one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Drafted 10th overall to the Cardinals, Rosen had some choice words for the teams that passed on him. Doing his best pretty woman, he dropped the infamous 9 mistakes quote. But I gotta ask, did they make a mistake? I'm Riley Winn, and I'm here to tell you just what happened to Chosen Rosen, aka Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen has been the guy since high school. He was the starting QB as a sophomore at the national football powerhouse, St. John Bosco, and while he was there, he dominated. In his entire varsity career, he threw for almost 8,500 yards, bombed 90 touchdowns, while only throwing 20 picks. This ratio is something to pay attention to later on. Rosen also rushed for 1,100 plus yards and another 14 tutties. With those numbers and a 6'4", 215-pound frame, he was ranked the #1 QB in the nation. Ultimately, UCLA landed the 5-star. He earned the starting spot and lit up the Pac-12. Trust me, I know. I'm a Beaver fan. In his 3 years with the Bruins, he threw for 9,300 yards, and one of those seasons was cut in half because of an injury. Rosen threw 59 touchdowns, but his INTs crept up to about 26. Rosen had the measurables, the stats, and passed the eye test, so he was being touted as a potential first overall pick in the NFL draft. It didn't work out quite like that. Arizona drafted him 10th overall, and then Josh Rosen infamously said there were 9 mistakes ahead of me, and that has been biting him in the ass ever since. Rosen won the starting job and played pretty mediocre. He had 2,200 passing yards, but he threw more picks than he did touchdowns, and they finished the season 3-13. So let's talk about his time with the Cardinals. At the time, they were one of the worst offenses in the NFL. Their O-line was trash, and they had a first-time head coach. Of course they were going to stink, but it wasn't entirely Rosen's fault. You gotta build around the guy, let him develop. This takes time, but unfortunately Josh Rosen did not have time on his side. Just a year after AZ took Rosen 10th overall, they drafted another quarterback, Kyler Murray, 1st overall, just a year later. Then he got traded to Miami. There he had to fight Fitzmagic for the starting spot. The few opportunities he got, he was god-awful. But this dude had even less talent around him than he did in Arizona. Then guess what the Dolphins did next? They drafted Tua, 5th overall. Sound familiar? Now, this is where Josh Rosen started bouncing around. He signed with the Bucs practice squad, but was released not much later. Then in 2020, the 49ers signed him to a 1-year deal, but they also drafted a first-round QB, Trey Lance. No more reps for Rosen. Atlanta picked him up at the beginning of the 2021 season, and he even saw the field a couple times, something he hadn't done in years. After more play, he then signed with the Browns, then to their practice squad before being released. Rosen's most recent stop was in Minnesota on the practice squad, but when their season ended, so did Rosen's time with the team. So is Josh Rosen really that bad, or was he never really given a fair shot? I think both are partially true. He definitely was not all he was hyped up to be, I'll give you that. But also this dude just couldn't catch a break. Teams just kept bringing in a new shiny toy even before they could take the old one out of the package. What are some other athletes who were absolute studs that you're not sure where or what they're up to now? Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram and let me know. I'm Riley Winn. See you on the next one.